Good evening and welcome to the Sixth House. I am Alicia Moon. It is Saturday, December the 7th, 2019, and I am on day number 7 of my 21-day fast. And I must say that I still feel great. My fast is still intact and I have not broken it. I just wanted to take a moment to briefly give you a little more insight about the Sixth House and how we operate, as well as from what perspective the information is given. The Sixth House is a nonprofit organization, and as I mentioned before, it is designed to further education on healthcare and how you can secure your health through natural means, particularly the diet, to teach you how the body can actually heal itself and how to reverse chronic disease like diabetes or how to resolve cancer. These are things that I would love to discuss with you. We are eagerly awaiting a home where the public will be invited, but for right now, we will operate primarily through educational forums, whether it's through social media, through telephone consultations, through public forums, or if you have any questions or concerns, you can feel free to inbox me on Instagram at Keisha Moon or Facebook Messenger, or you can leave me a comment below any video that you view. Now, the perspective from which the information is given is a holistic approach, and that I have chosen to use the holistic approach because the differences between age, gender, and race must be taken into account whenever treatment is involved. Healthcare, the way that I've seen it practiced, is in blanket form, and it cannot be done that way effectively without personalizing care. And to give you an illustration as to what I mean, if you look at your dietary allowances or the recommendations for every day, our food groups have been broken down, and there has been a suggested amount that has been recommended for each person. This has not taken into account the differences that exist between races. They have taken into account age, but the races have not been considered. Now, on your food, now it's my plate. It used to be a pyramid. There was a suggestion as to how much dairy one person should take in. And the reason why the dairy was on there was to ensure that there's an adequate amount of calcium taken in. And the recommended amount of calcium is 1,200 milligrams per day. So their recommended source is cow's milk and products that are made from cow's milk. Well, in doing that, they fail to consider that 75% or 3/4 of the African American male population cannot break down cow's milk. So, in recommending, a food source that should be taken in on a daily basis, they were included in this group. Now, the danger in that is if the body cannot utilize it, cannot break it down, again, it is going to form some type of inflammatory process. And a lot of times it comes out as an allergy, which can sometimes be fatal. It can be mistaken for asthma, and I see many children that are treated for symptoms that are comparative to asthma, and the only problem that really exists is that they lack the enzyme to break down cow's milk. So, in recommending sources for calcium, I would not recommend processed food. Milk and dairy products are processed. The answer should not be anything that is synthetic or processed. Instead, you will look at foods that are naturally high in calcium, and those would be the foods that you recommend. 70% of your diet should be something that is high in calcium. And they took a shortcut in recommending milk because milk offers 300 milligrams per cup. Well, collard greens or kale greens offer 276 milligrams per serving. So instead of recommending that your patients take in the green leafy vegetable, instead, what is more supported is dairy, and this population of people lack that enzyme that is necessary to break it down. Another example um, is that of salt. People of color lead the world in high blood pressure, and it's not because we are naturally going to contract this disorder. It is because of our diet. It is because of the processed foods. Because again, people of color lack the enzyme that is necessary to break down table salt. So, as a source of salt, there are many vegetables that are high in sodium anyway. Celery is high in sodium. Swiss chard is high in sodium. Um, there are a couple other carrots are high in sodium. Spinach is naturally high in sodium. So those are sources that a person of color could take in to gain that daily recommended allowance of sodium without being at risk for developing hypertension. So when giving out advice, the sixth house will incorporate this perspective, and I will look at gender differences, age differences, cultural differences, racial and ethnic differences before recommending anything. And so when I embark on the disease processes that I am eager to discuss, and I offer suggestions, then I will personalize that if anyone has a question about it. But through my forums, I will give several different suggestions. And these suggestions, again, may be different from your primary care physician because, again, they oftentimes, more often than not, avoid to look at the differences. Even in prescribing medicine, even in treating patients, there are marked differences in a person's ability to break down one medication over another. There are medications that are more appropriately designed for a particular group of people as opposed to another. There are signs and symptoms that differ from one gender to the next, from one age group to the next. When conducting studies, most of the studies that were done years ago were done on the Caucasian male, and so those signs and symptoms, the cardinal symptoms that we see of a lot of the disease processes, are based on those that were more prevalent in that population of people. For instance, the heart attack. We know when a person clutches that chest, that's one of the cardinal signs of a heart attack. But that's more so in males, because in females, the pain may be in the shoulder as opposed to in the chest. So that's just to highlight to you that there are differences between gender, between age, and between race. So from the sixth house perspective, prior to giving any type of personal advice, I like to take into account your biochemical makeup and other things that may be going on with you. So again, suggestions and advice that is given may be quite different from that of your more popular or more commonly prescribed methods, and that is because this care will be personalized. And I just wanted to highlight just a few things about the sixth house and how we operate and from what perspective we do so. And I want to thank you for joining me this evening. Again, I'm Alicia Moon. coming to you from the sixth house where the doors are always open and you are warmly invited to come in and work with us as we strive to improve our health by natural means. Thank you.